What do you think about when you hear the word Senegal? Polygamy? Street merchants? Beautiful black skin? Sure, all these things exist, but they aren't what surprised me the most in the country. In this video, we will go over the top 5 culture shocks you will get when you visit this unique West African country. Afterwards, we will give Dakar, Senegal a ranking on my African cities leaderboard, comparing it to the other cities I visited. Number 1. The development. Africa is often associated with underdevelopment and sprawling low-density living. In most of the continent, high-rises are sparse, and people tend to live in small, single-family homes instead of apartments, even in the capital cities. But Dakar, Senegal turns this stereotype on its head. The level of urbanization here is nothing short of stunning, far ahead of its peers in the region. The vast majority of people live in tall buildings, and new skyscrapers spring up almost on a monthly basis.
See, the apartment is 85 million 990,000.
To buy
an apartment, yeah.
Be sure to visit the city's downtown core, a neighborhood called Plateau, where you will find no shortage of shops, restaurants, and small businesses, all within walking distance. But I was most impressed by Mermoz's Sacré-Cœur. During the morning rush hour, you almost feel like you're in a developed country. Urban density is really important because it makes it easier for a city to provide services to large numbers of people, and Dakar has taken advantage of this with an extensive public transportation system. The old colonial-era train station has been totally transformed into an extensive urban light rail that connects downtown with the suburbs. Dakar also boasts a bus rapid transit system that allows people to comfortably move around without needing a car. That said, the situation isn't perfect. Despite the public transportation options, there is still a huge amount of traffic in Dakar. Furthermore, most of the available taxis are cartoonishly old and practically falling apart. Forget about a seatbelt. Most of the doors barely work and seem to only stick together based on hopes and dreams. Air pollution is also a big problem, and the city can feel like a giant construction site with all the debris everywhere. Number 2. Prices. If you're like most Americans, you probably think Africa has a low cost of living, but that definitely isn't the case in Dakar, Senegal. During my 30-day trip, I spent around $150 per day, including accommodation. This includes business expenses, so a more casual traveler could expect to pay something around $70 per day without feeling like they're holding back. I was lucky to find a nice hotel in the middle of downtown for just 40,000 CFA or $60 per day. But when I looked for more permanent accommodation in the nearby lower income neighborhood of Medina, I was stunned to see that even the most basic apartments were rented at $30 per day, which would come out to like $900 per month. You can still find places in the United States that are cheaper than that. Food at restaurants was also around the same price as in the US. Check out this menu from a restaurant near my hotel. 7,000 CFA for pad thai. That's $11. Something like this would be around $3 in Southeast Asia. Beer at clubs usually starts at around $5 per bottle, and mixed drink prices can get absolutely stratospheric. Things don't get much better at supermarkets. These rotisserie chickens that will cost $5 in the US sell for around $8 in Dakar. Surprisingly, traditional food isn't particularly cheap either. I spent around $15 for this Senegalese dibi in a low-income neighborhood. This is 1 kilo of dibi for 10,000 CFA francs, which should be around $15. It's good food and really tender, but it's not cheap. So why are things so expensive? I think the most likely culprit is the monetary system. Senegal's currency, the CFA franc, is pegged to the euro at a rate of €1 to 655 CFA. Currency pegs can work well for small countries like Cape Verde because they encourage imports and foreign investment. But for a large country like Senegal, this usually isn't worth it. The artificially high currency undermines domestic production, causing the population to rely on expensive imports. Unfortunately, there is no clear solution to this problem because dropping or devaluing the CFA would worsen inflation in the near term and possibly cause foreign investors to abandon the country in droves. Unfortunately, the local population currently can't replace their output. And that's what stops African countries from reaching that next level of development like India and Southeast Asia. Number 3, diversity. Another thing that might shock you in Dakar, Senegal is the diversity. Unlike, say, Nigeria, Uganda, or Rwanda, it is very normal to see white people walking around in Dakar or shopping at the local markets. These people are not typically seasonal tourists. They actually live and work in Senegal, forming much of the business community in high-end neighborhoods like Plateau and Les Almadies. Their children go to the local schools and seem to be somewhat immersed in society, at least on a surface level. There is also a very rapidly growing mixed-race population, which I have not really seen in other countries. While Ugandans love white people the most, Senegalese men are seemingly much better at attracting them. I guess tall, dark, and handsome goes a long way. But Senegal's mixing pot is not limited to visible foreigners. The country's black population is also made up of many different ethnicities. While the two major groups here are the Wolof and the Fulani, Senegal's capital Dakar is full of people from all over Francophone Africa drawn to the country's much higher levels of safety and development compared to their home countries. While I was conducting my interviews, I realized that most of the ladies I spoke to weren't even originally Senegalese.
Bambara, I don't know if you know it. And from my mom, I'm more.
More. Wow, that's good. I think you're the first time I've met a Moorish person before.
They're from Mauritania and other countries, Arabic people.
What part of Senegal are you from?
I'm from Dakar.
Are you from the Fulani tribe?
There?
Are you from the Fulani tribe?
Fulani. Oh, yeah. Some of my families are, Fulani. So
Okay, so you have a mix of different
Yeah.
tribes.
yeah, and Mauritius from my grandparents.
Oh, Mauritius.
Yeah, it's
How-
like a mix.
How did you end up from Mauritius to here?
My grandparents, they're from there, so they came here.
Wow, that's crazy.
I'm from Dakar. My father is Senegalese and my mom is Cape Verdean, so I'm half Senegalese.
De quel pays sont votre père?
Mon père est italien,
Ah, ok. Et ta mère?
béninoise.
Ah, et pourquoi vont-ils au Sénégal?
Ma mère est née ici. Nous sommes sénégalais. On a les papiers et tout. Et mon père, c'est le cours de la vie, je peux dire, qu'il a vraiment amené ici et tout. Donc, ouais. Mais il n'est pas ici actuellement.
D'accord. Ok. Well, merci.
De rien. De rien.
A lot of the people I've met here in Senegal are not from Senegal. Why do you think that is?
Because Senegal is a country that accepts a lot of people. They are open-minded and people come from their country and come from there. Out of 100%, 57 is Senegalese and the other person is Malian, Guinean and Mauritanian. So we have diversity in Senegal
And why do all those people like to come here?
because Senegal is a country of joy. They're kind. They love to help people. That I think, but the most important thing why they come here is for having work.
Okay. But Senegal's immigration story isn't limited to attractive young women. The Hausa people of Nigeria and Niger are known for selling a grilled meat known locally as dibi Hausa. This is called suya elsewhere in the world. Guineans are known for selling coffee and engaging in small businesses. Despite being of the Fulani ethnicity, they stand out because they're much shorter than the Senegalese Fulani. From an outside perspective, all these Sahelian cultures can look quite similar with their Islamic religion and similar practices like polygamy, but in practice they remain quite distinct. Locals tell me that cross-cultural marriages are rare between some groups and non-existent between others. Like in all African countries, the Senegalese have a hierarchy of immigrants. Cape Verdeans are deeply respected, dare I say loved, ranking near the top of this hierarchy, while Ghanaians and Nigerians rank near the bottom. There seems to be a belief among the locals that the levels of immigration into Senegal are excessive. Africans from other countries often complain about having difficulty dating and marrying in Senegal, while whites have a much easier time. Number 4. Rich culture. When you are in Senegal, you never forget that you're in Senegal. The country stands out for its love and preservation of its own culture. This includes everything from the music to the sports. Be sure to check out lamb. an ancient martial art that blends magic with traditional wrestling. But your favorite part of Senegalese culture will probably be the food, which is some of the best in the region. Senegalese people like to eat together while sharing one giant plate, and they're quite generous with their guests, always offering to share food and drink when it is available. Senegalese food is also quite palatable for Western tastes, with most of it consisting of bread, rice, and meat-based dishes. This stands in contrast to other West African countries like Ghana, where the local food has a radically different taste and texture profile.
To me.
Surprisingly, you don't see that much overt French cultural influence here, aside from the language and their conspicuous love of baguettes. Even though I speak basic French, I didn't find it to be as useful as I expected. The pronunciations are pretty different from what I learned, and people tend to speak extremely fast, blending their French with the local language Wolof. Okay, Wolof is fine. Many also didn't seem to put that much effort into understanding me, even for basic things. Ok, ouais, les gens ici aiment faire les fêtes. Okay, so how should I say it? What's the proper way of saying that in French? 7? 7, okay. Okay. On va là. On va là.
On va aller au Seven.
Ah, on va aller au Seven.
Ouais,
Oui.
mais là, il parle en français depuis une année.
Ok, on va se savoir. C'est comme si un Américain qui parle français, voilà.
Moi, j'ai envie de comprendre un peu.
This can make learning their language feel like a waste of time. As an American tourist, don't let anyone shame you for speaking English if that's what you're most comfortable with. That said, fluent speakers of French will be able to overcome these challenges easily. Number 5. Conservatism. In a world that has become increasingly libertine and degenerate, it can be a pleasant surprise to explore a culture where conservatism is still mainstream. With a 97% Muslim population, Senegal is one of the most religious countries in Africa. Islam still plays a strong role in its social norms. This makes Senegal very different from most of the continent, where people can be very indisciplined and out of control, even to Western eyes. In most of Africa, sky-high body counts, adultery, polyamory, and casual prostitution are the norms, not the exception. In contrast, the Senegalese still seem to take relationships very seriously. According to locals, a sizable minority of women manage to save sex for marriage.
You don't have to deal with boy till you get married. Once you get married, you can go and do whatever you want. But
So that no sex until marriage.
yes,
Is that really practiced here, or do they just pretend?
they practice it. because I don't know how to explain it, but some ethnicities, when you are married, there is ceremony. They do an event for the girl, and then if the girl is not virgin, they will know it, and the girl. That's why girl prefer to be raised virgin.
So,
Because
are the majority of women here virgins when they get married?
yes,
Really? Really?
yes, I think because they fear this phenomenon that I told you. They don't want to be know everyone knows that you were not virgin before your marriage, so they keep their virginity.
Wow, that's very good.
Yes,
That's very different from most countries in Africa.
I know. I know that difference.
The ghetto one for the shitter, they are saying, oh my god, I'm not gonna marry a woman without virginity because why do you not have your virginity? You are a woman, you cannot be a slut. Sorry for the word.
It's okay.
It's okay.
Yeah. So, for the women like 25 and below, what percentage manages to keep their virginity until marriage?
Can you repeat, please?
So, what percentage of the women here manage to stay virgins until marriage?
So now I can say 2% because a lot of people of my age are having sex. So it became normal because
Yeah.
Americans are doing it. So it's okay for them because they are saying, oh my God, I'm young, I can do it. I don't know where when I'm going to die. So I have sex and I can die later. It's okay.
That's true. You never know when you're gonna die.
You never know.
Well, how old are you?
19.
19.
Yeah.
So that means it's not really common anymore, even for young people.
Yeah, it's not common. Having sex is like drinking water for them.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay. It's like that in most of the other African countries also. I think actually that Africans have sex more than Americans because you guys look at the TV, right?
Yeah,
but the
that's
TV
right.
is exaggerated. As per Islamic traditions, Senegalese men are also expected to wait until marriage, and adultery is also frowned upon. But guys with a taste for variety are permitted to marry up to 4 wives if they can afford the Viagra. While most young urban women aren't too keen on sharing their husbands, many women in rural areas enjoy this tradition and see being a second wife as a flex. But while Senegal is socially conservative, it is not Afghanistan. The country is very modern and secular. There is no Sharia law here, and people can drink alcohol and party just like anywhere else. Leaderboard rankings. Senegal beats out Rwanda and Cape Verde to take the #1 spot as my favorite African country and the one I would move to if I had to make a decision today. Dakar's very progressive urban planning and density are in line with the characteristics I like in a city. The weather is excellent and most importantly, conservative culture is a welcome break from the degeneracy that has taken over most of the continent. However, while a more conservative culture is important for me, beginner travelers may have different priorities. Challenges like extreme air pollution, language barriers, and a ridiculously high cost of living can make Senegal very unsuitable for the typical American tourist. And while the locals are hospitable, they don't seem particularly friendly or open to outsiders. On the beginners leaderboard, I give Dakar, Senegal a tie with Kampala, Uganda in the #2 spot. My journey continues to find the perfect African country, and I'll see you in the next video.